welcome to another exclusive interview by Recovery Today magazine at recoverytodaymagazine.com, where first and foremost, we are a magazine of hope. Whether you're considering addiction recovery for yourself or a loved one, or you're actively in recovery a short while or many years, you'll find information on all topics related to addiction, codependency, recovery, and living a happy, successful, sober life at Recovery Today. And today I am so honored today to be introducing Valerie Silveira, author of the award-winning book, Still Standing After All the Tears and Misery, You Don't Get My Company. She is the creator of the 9 Actions to Battle Your Beast and the Still Standing Tribe. She's an international speaker, empowerment coach, and beast slayer. In 2004, Valerie's 18-year-old daughter was shot by her ex-boyfriend. Over the next decade, Jamie's life spun out of control, and as a result, Valerie spiraled into darkness. She would face the heartbreaking reality that Jamie was a heroin addict and the painful truth that she was powerless to save her from the addiction beast. With a heart shattered into a million pieces, a broken family, health issues, financial hardship, and depression, Valerie was giving up hope of ever being happy again. At a very dark time in her life, she found a shred of hope and a tiny bit of courage and made a decision that saved her life, and she decided to stand up and fight. Although Valerie was painfully aware of the possibility of Jamie dying from an overdose, nothing could prepare her for the knock on the door on August 2016. Her daughter, Jamie, was murdered. The nightmare her family lived through in 2004 had returned, only this time Valerie had to learn to live with a hole in her heart. Through the devastation of Jamie's addiction, tearing her family apart, and ultimately losing her to an unsolved murder, Valerie has fought to regain her courage, to stand up again and continue her mission of helping others find their courage no matter what they're facing. She is living proof that it is possible, even in your darkest hours, to stand up and fight for your happiness, your peace, and your purpose. Misery, You Don't Get My Company is the first book Valerie has written since Jamie's death. It is full of hope and explains just how she lives with that hole in her heart. Valerie has had a diverse career in finance, business, operations, consulting, training, and speaking. Speaking. Now I know why you can speak so well. None business challenges came even close to that of helplessly to save her daughter. She uses her professional experience and her true rides on what is the roller coaster from hell to help others put their pieces back together, put pieces of their life back together. Valerie has an incredible, relatable style, and her sense of humor shows through the pain. The books and the actions are important not only for families of addicts, but for anyone struggling to move through a past life traumatic situation. Welcome, Valerie.
Thank you
for being here. You know, it got a little somber as I was reading the bio, and then I realized when I saw the word hope that, you know, there's always hope, and that's what this magazine is about, and that's what our interview is going to be about. And I do tell people often that our magazine is not just for the addict or alcoholic in and out of recovery, it's for the families too, and so that's why you're here. And so tell me what your purpose is. I know we're aligned on many levels. I had an addict alcoholic husband, you had an addict child, but we're all in the same, boat, same purpose. So tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you said, the first thing that you said is that your magazine is about hope. And I absolutely love that, because we're all here to give others hope. Mm-hmm. That, of course, only happens if we decide to stand up and fight. If we get stuck as a victim, or, just stuck down on the mat, as I call it, with a beast on top of us, we aren't a beacon of hope. And so no matter what has happened, we have to find the courage. And that's really what it takes. We have to find the courage to stand up and to bring hope to others. And so if one person stands up, Sherry, they give hope to one other person.
It's true.
So that's just it, and that's how it works. And the next person stands up, and the next person, and we provide hope. And so my mission is really that. My mission is to help people to find their courage, because when I was down on the mat, as I call it, or riding that roller coaster from hell, I had lost hope. I lost my self-confidence, my self-worth. And I wasn't that kind of a person. I was a really self-confident person. I was never depressed. I didn't even understand what that meant. Yeah. I mean, I was depressed for an hour once. I mean, I think that's about it. But there I was with this dark cloud hanging over my heart every moment of every single day. And I want to help people to move past that and to realize that no matter what has happened to you, you can honor that hole in your heart like I do, but our hearts are big enough. And no matter what anybody has gone through, we are all still here for a purpose.
Well, I love what you're saying about hope, and then also there is the pain. In other words, you're not denying the pain is there. Life is messy. It's sort of having a both, like here's the pain, here's the sorrow, and here's the hope and the inspiration. So allowing them both to be there and not judging the pain, not judging the emptiness, because I don't have a child that passed away as you do, and I don't think anybody can understand what you went through, what you've gone through, and yet now you're coming out on the other side, still with that hole, but helping others with courage and inspiration. After Jamie passed away, I noticed you got right back on the horse. I'm sure you had time to grieve, but how did you do that? How did you sort of...
Well, truthfully, Sherry, this is why I'm so passionate about people standing up and fighting wherever they are and learning to have courage and to live with purpose and to live with peace, to have all of these things built now, because we don't know what's around the next corner. Mm-hmm. And had I not done it when I did, and actually I should back up and say that when I stood up to fight, it was really in my darkest days. It was, as you read in that bio, my daughter was very lost in the belly of her beast. And I spent 13 years waiting. And the thing about waiting is we typically don't even stay in the same spot when we're waiting. We actually go backwards. And I was spiraling further and further downward while I just waited for her. And so that's what I really want to encourage people to do. We do that all the time. We wait, well, as soon as this happens, then I'll start to work on myself. As soon as this happens, I won't need to work on myself because I'll just be better, because all the stuff around me will be better. But there you are, no matter what happens around you. So had I not done that work and put my 9 actions to battle your beast into place and started really living them, I would not have been able to get back up. Because what's interesting is that the first time I got up, well, I didn't have any actions because I hadn't developed them yet, but I didn't know where in the heck I was going or how I would get there. But see, this time was different, even though I was devastated. I say that, I had the beast at bay. He'd knock on my door every now and then.
I just have to say, I could either get up and get the dog, we could edit this, or we could just go on.
Why don't we just go on? Because this is life.
That's how I feel.
Okay, dogs bark, and who knows? I might come on to a video sometime with a booger in my nose. I don't know.
It's, I agree. So,
I'm not worried about it. Listen, okay. Wait till Still Standing Live to our event, Sherry. Something will go what people might think wrong.
Yeah.
But it'll always work to our benefits. I'm not worried about it. So I don't even know what I was talking about. Who knows?
Well, we talked about your mission, your purpose, and, you said that you...
Oh, I was saying, had I not, done that work, I wouldn't have been able to get up as quickly, because this time I had the tools I had learned. And so I was devastated. Oh, I know what I was saying. I talk about it like I had the beast at bay, right? My codependent enabler beast, I recognized him. He'd knock on the door. I'd peek out and go, I know you aren't coming in. But the day they came to tell me that my daughter had been murdered, it was a home invasion. Okay, it wasn't a knock on the door. It was like somebody busted my door down. And I did fall back down on that mat. And I did fall down for a couple of weeks, which seems kind of crazy. And so here you were asking me, how do I manage that hole? And so here's what I finally decided, Sherry, that I kind of had 2 choices. I could roll in a ball and grieve my life away. And who would blame me? Mm-hmm. This is my only daughter, my firstborn child. Somebody killed her. And I could have done that. And who would blame me? Well, I decided I would blame me. It wasn't fair to my son. It wouldn't be fair to Rich. It wouldn't be fair to me. It wouldn't be fair to God. He put me on this earth for a purpose. And it also doesn't honor Jamie. How does me self-destructing honor my daughter? Yeah. It didn't honor her while she was alive, and it certainly wasn't going to honor her while she was dead. So here's the thing. I used to think that time would heal. You get over it. And I have lost other people, and I don't want to say I got over them, but I've gotten through it differently. Mm-hmm. For this one, I finally decided, Sherry, this hole in my heart's not going anywhere. It's never going to shrink. It's never going away. But why would I want it to? Why would I want to get over her? I don't want to get over her. I think she was one of the most amazing people I've ever known. And if I had it to do all over again, even with all the crap that came with it, with the ride on the roller coaster from hell, I would do it all over again, just for the honor of being her mom. And so what I do is when I feel the hole, it's almost like I have this entity, right? And I feel the hole and it's like, okay, we're going to need some time. And so I cry. But here's the difference. I don't let the hole swallow me up.
You don't go down the rabbit hole.
No.
You allow it to be, and then you allow it to pass until the next time it comes up.
Right.
I love that. I love, radical acceptance. That's really what it's about.
Right.
Completely. And I think, I think that's the key, not to think that one day, like you said, everything's going to be okay. I mean, everything's okay right now. The point of power is in the moment, right now, in this minute, us talking, you sharing inspiration, helping one parent, two parents, many parents on this interview.
Right.
And, I remember, when I became a single mother, I remember different things that have happened to me in my life. And while you're in it, you think it's the most horrible, horrific, I'll never get over this. I was only like in my early 20s and couldn't believe my then husband left me and moved cross country. And there I was with a 1-year-old. And the thing is, I would have never become a therapist. I would have never, done the things I've done. If I hadn't married an alcoholic, I probably would have never worked at a treatment center and gotten into this field. So everything happens, I don't want to say, it's supposed to happen that you lost your child, but I do know that something can evolve from that experience.
No, you're 100% right. Nothing's wasted. I think that's what's important is no experience is wasted. And I was actually at a recovery center yesterday. They invited me, they're one of the sponsors for our upcoming event. And I wanted to just go give back to them. And they asked me to come into their group meeting. And I led their group meeting, just telling my story and encouraging them. And really incredible to be able to provide hope and to let them know that what they're going through might be different than what I'm going through, different than what you've been through, but we all have the same feelings. We all have the same fears and apprehensions and concerns and anxiety and whatever we go through. But one of the things that I told them about, and this kind of speaks to what you were saying, Jamie taught me, Sherry, 2 of the most important lessons I could ever learn in my whole life. And I don't know if I would have learned those had it not been for this path. Do I wish, am I saying, oh, it's okay, she needed to die? Of course not. I would never have chosen for her to live 30 years, 7 months, and 4 days. That would never be the number I would choose. But maybe that's the number that God allowed for whatever reason. It could be, I look at the bigger picture. That's another thing I do. I look at the bigger picture. Perhaps she was spared from something worse that was up ahead in her path. And some people think death is the worst thing, but that isn't the worst thing. And so, I just try to look at the big picture. And what I'm not going to waste in all this is what I've become. And that's what you were referring to as well. You wouldn't be where you are today had you not been through. We don't learn a dang thing when life's going good. I mean, I like to find the person that learned all sorts of stuff while life was just beautiful. Because I don't think it exists. So these are the 2 things I was telling them yesterday. She taught me not to judge people. Now, I'm not saying that I was this horribly judgmental person that was running around with my nose in the air, but I judged people. I judged addicts. I judged parents of addicts because I didn't understand. And so Jamie taught me that while we were judging her, her own family, we were judging the heck out of her. She never judged us back. The other thing I really learned from her is what I call the F word, and that is forgiveness. And I mean forgiveness. I mean forgiving everybody, not carrying around any of the stuff. That gift is so incredibly important to me in every aspect of my life, having nothing to do with Jamie. But also this guy that murdered her, it took 2 years and 192 days for him to be arrested. So we were thinking we were going to have an unsolved murder, but I'd already forgiven him before he was arrested. And I know that doesn't make sense to most people. But there's a big difference between justice and forgiveness. I want justice, but I refuse to carry that around.
Well, then you're giving him all that power. So.
Right. And how's that going to serve the world?
No, it's not. I mean, and Yeah, exactly. I think that's a fantastic attitude and a great perspective. And everybody chooses how they want to go through this in their own way, and that's your way, and that's what works for you. And hopefully, others will learn from you and see just the bright light that you are with those keys of living in terms of forgiveness. And the other one was
Judgment.
Being non-judgmental. I have to ask you, before we get into exactly your program and your upcoming event, which I'm so excited to be a part of, I'm a member of that other 12-step program, and I'll name it because it's my program.
Sure.
And, it has its pros and cons, weaknesses and strengths. What is it about creating a program outside of that you were passionate about?
Well, I didn't really create it with anything in mind. It wasn't like I'm going to take, I honestly had never even been to a 12-step meeting. I didn't even know what it was. I mean, I knew what it was, but I wasn't familiar. It wasn't like I said, I'm going to make something different.
Al-Anon. You had never gone to Al-Anon?
No. Mm-mm. And it wasn't because for a long time, I didn't even know that Jamie was an addict. I just knew that she was out of control, but I didn't have any concrete proof. I was probably in denial. I probably didn't want to believe it, whatever. And my fear, and this is nothing against any program, and the one you're talking about probably saved more people than anything out there. But I just didn't want to go be around a bunch of sad people telling their sad stories. I'm not saying they're all the meetings are like that. This was my own thing. It's nothing to do with anybody else or against anything. It was too hard. I was living it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want, to hear. I never read stories. I didn't read books. I didn't read. There's movies out right now about addiction. I don't watch them. They just don't serve me. I don't feel good about that. So I'm not burying my head in the sand. What I was trying to do is find some way for me to become happy. And it wasn't all just about addiction. I was thinking of it in a more broad sense. What are the things that I could do? And actually, it's interesting you say that, because I was meeting at the recovery center I was at yesterday. They use the 12-step program, which is fantastic. You can use tons of different types of tools and still, make your way through. So it's different, because the 9 actions that I teach are more things that you just put into your everyday life to improve every single area of your life. For me, my biggie just happened to be that codependent enabler beast that had me by the throat, convincing me that I was a terrible mom because I couldn't save my own daughter. There must have been something I did wrong. I was covered in shame and guilt.
I'm going to say so much shame.
So much shame. And so anyway, I just decided to tell my story. And what I was doing is telling the things that I did to get better. And it developed into these 9 actions.
Wow.
So it was kind of interesting. It wasn't like I set out to do it. And I really feel like it was divinely inspired, because I'm not that smart, Sherry. I don't think I am.
Yeah, I totally get it. I know how things work out. I remember when I wrote my first book, it came to me. I didn't go after it. It's like,
yes,
because of something that I had done. I was on a TV show, and they're like, "Oh, do you have a book?" And and then I came up with this idea. It's really true. You just don't go searching for it. You get into action, but you allow things to happen and come towards you.
Right. Well, it's kind of what we're saying here too, is that I wouldn't choose this mission, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not like I went, oh, this is great. I can now build a mission, and I can become an author and a speaker, and I can work 24 hours a day. Cause I'm doing it in my sleep too. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Finding ways to help people tirelessly, working on programs that you give out for free. This is exhausting work. I wouldn't choose this. I tell people all the time, I remember going, really? Seriously, God, this is it? This is the mission? Why couldn't I write a cookbook?
It's a calling. Like, you can't stop. The minute
right.
Just this calling, I can't stop. I wish I could. I'm not saying that I'm not somewhat of a workaholic, but it's much deeper than that. It's just, I just don't give up. I just can't, I just don't.
But you've wanted to 100 times if you're like me.
Well, it's, people see all the stuff, the smoke and mirrors. They don't really know what's really going on and how hard we work. But this isn't about that. But yes, there are many times I'm like, why am I? This morning, I couldn't figure out how to do a Facebook Live on my desktop. And I'm like, I'm crying to my virtual assistant. I can't do anything. I'm just, why am I doing it? And so I totally get it, Valerie. And we just keep at it.
Right.
let's talk a bit about the resources and your big event coming up. So
Okay.
sign up.
So obviously I have books and I have workbooks, and on my website, valeriesilveira.com, I also have programs. I have the 9 Actions to Battle Your Beast program that goes with my book and workbook, and then some video guidance, some video encouragement that kind of guides people along. So you can kind of do this on your own. You can do it, in your own pace. You can do it on your own. I have another one called the 9 Actions for a Courageous Life. So they're just using these actions in kind of just a little tiny bit different perspective. That one's a total online program. Obviously, all my books are on Amazon. And then I actually have a membership, which is a coaching tribe. I call it the Still Standing Tribe. And I provide, what's really kind of cool about, the love-hate you had with technology today?
That's good.
Right? It is kind of a love-hate, right? But what's great about it is that, I have members in Virginia and Florida and South Carolina and Washington State and, whatever. And the connections that people have together. So here's the deal. They go on, I know you have a membership too, and it probably works similarly. So they can go on and get my coaching. We have a Q&A session. We have 2 live coaching sessions a month. We have lots of resources on the website itself, Q&A, and then we have our private Facebook group. The best part about that is this is where they connect with each other. Yes. So it helps you to not feel so alone, even though it's virtual. So the membership, when I consider, I know how much you work in private practice, and I have no doubt that the sessions that people have with you are invaluable, but there's just one of you. Yeah. And so you can only do it hour by hour by hour. And how many hours can you do this? And so this is why it's so great that we can now, with technology, we can reach out and help so many more people. And that's what I'm doing now. So then that kind of is the flip side of what I'm going to talk about next, which is the event. And it's called Still Standing Live. And it's a lot of work to put on something like this. So why do we do this when I just got through talking about how technology is so awesome and we can just, talk like this? Well, here's the funny thing. I feel like you and I are buddies, and we have never met in person.
No, Valerie, it's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous, but thankfully we've been able to do this and we've talked on the phone and stuff. But there's nothing like being in a room with people. There's nothing, you can't, the energy, I feel some energy from you when we do this kind of stuff, but when we finally get to hug each other, there's no, there's no replacement for human touch, human contact, having fun together. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. Sorry, going to happen.
Yeah, I went to She Recovers. They had a big event in September. I spoke.
Right.
I met people in person that I've been talking to for 3, 4, 5 years.
Right.
And it was incredible. It was incredible. So I can't wait to give you a big, not a virtual hug, a real hug.
A real hug. Yeah. So these are the kind of things that, and so what's really great about what I'm going to do and you're going to do and some other people at this event, Sherry, is that we are going to inspire people. We are going to pump people up, but I get concerned. I was talking about this yesterday, that group. There's 3 things. You start out with inspiration. You get inspired. Oh my gosh, you could read about anybody having nothing to do with what you're going through and realize what they overcame, and you go, wow, that's inspiring, right? But then it goes poof. You're done being inspired. You do nothing with it unless you get motivated. Okay, so motivation's kind of where you go, okay, so I'm going to put a why behind this. Here's why I got to get going. But even that goes away if you don't have empowerment. This is why you're doing what you're doing with your coaching program, because I have people all the time that go, oh my gosh, your book, it's so amazing, da, 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 da. That's why I wrote a workbook. It concerned me that people were going to get inspired by my message and then do nothing about it. Yeah. This is why you have a coaching program. This is why I do, because they need to take tools. So they will be inspired on June 22nd. I think a lot of people are going to get motivated, but they're going to get empowered because we're going to give them actionable tools they can use in their everyday life.
And the biggest thing that I've learned as a student of the law of attraction, which is basically what you get, what you put out there, you get back, is repetition. We have to do this thing. So the great thing about a membership site or the group coaching is that people can have you in their ears all the time. So you talk about that rabbit hole that that you try not to go down. Guaranteed, if you have this, I don't want to say positivity, we'll call it inspiration in your ears because positivity sounds a little too Pollyannish, but having this wisdom and insight and intuition that you have in recordings or, you know, your calls, it's constant repetition. You're not going to go down that rabbit hole, guaranteed, better than any antidepressant.
No question about it. And that's why I'm sure that when you do your private practice and you have clients where they say, you know, can I move in? Do you have an extra room? Because I just want to be around you all the time. I hear that all the time. Can't you just, couldn't we just hang out all the time? And so that's the reason that we do things like coaching. That's the reason we'll do it. I mean, an event is only a one-time thing. It's really to kind of set you on a path, to allow you to link arms with other people. But it's really these, in my opinion, these coaching sessions are invaluable because of what you just said. 24/7 access to, I don't know, Sherry, this world is so full. We're bombarded with negativity and hopelessness and helplessness and reasons to be depressed. And we got to look like that and look like this. And nobody even looks like that anyway. And there's just so much pressure. So if somebody goes, well, you're going to have this event and you're just going to try to pump people up. Well, you bet we are. What's the alternative?
Yeah. But they're going to walk away with something that they can continue on. It's not going to be an ending. I had a client recently that joined what's known as Landmark. Now, I think they have continuation programs and so forth. But I said, that's fine. But when that weekend is over, that weekend is over. It's really a long-term commitment to your recovery or to your mental health or whatever it is you're working on. It's not a one-time fix. And
well, it's kind of funny when you say the word recovery. I always think about this because we think of recovery with addiction, alcoholism. But I'm 57, okay? By the time we've lived a few decades on this planet, we're all needing to recover from something or some things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I think it's not even that's why, I have a membership that's monthly or an annual, and I really like it. And okay, economically, it's better for me if somebody's monthly. That is not what it's about. I like when people make an annual commitment if they can, because that's a commitment. It's saying that I'm going to spend at least a year, because a year goes by like that. Life happens in that year. And it's like what you said, you get off track and you don't come back into the membership for, a few weeks, and you're right back where you started.
And what's great too, is that you can do it, people can listen to these things anytime they want. I love group therapy, one of my favorite things. But every time I've ever tried to get a group together in person, it's impossible. People don't show, they don't have babysitters, they work too late, I can't get the right time. So it's not only great when you can do something virtually live, you can also have the ability to listen and learn when at your own convenience. So yeah, I'm all about it. How can people find your event?
The event, you can go to my website to valeriesilveira.com, but we do have a special link right to the event, which is stillstandinglive.com. And I'm really, really excited that you've come. This is so funny, Sherry. I've got to tell you that the venue is called the Annenberg, and it's at Eisenhower Hospital campus here. I don't know if you've been to the Annenberg Health Sciences building, but there's a gentleman there who's our sound guy. And so we were going over some things last week and everything. And we happened to mention, we're talking about PowerPoints. And I said, well, I know Sherry doesn't have one, and he goes, Sherry who? And I said, Sherry Gaben. He goes, oh my God, I love her. His name is Aaron. I don't even know where his card is. I'll have to let you know. I'm sure you'll recognize him, or maybe he's just seen you. He's seen you speak at things. And so I'm
going to cry and I'm not kidding. I'm going to get
You go ahead and you cry, girl.
You just don't know when you've made a difference.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's pretty special about
it. What was funny is that he was inclined to say Sherry who. We weren't even talking about you in particular, so why did he even say Sherry who? And when I told him, he goes, oh, I love her. And my teammate that's going to be the kind of go-to person for the event, she said, is she funny? And he goes, oh, she's hilarious. And so he goes on and he's starting to describe you.
Oh my God.
He's like, oh, she's amazing. So yeah, that was great.
Now the pressure is really on. Honestly, speaking live, I love to hide behind my computer, guys.
Well, we have a big podium. It's up high, but you can hide behind the podium, sort of.
Excellent.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing about the events that I produce. they're professional. We want people to feel like, they're the value is there all around. But we're people. We need to connect with people in the heart, and we're going to misspeak, and we're going to have so much fun. People are going to learn, but it isn't all about having the perfect presentation, because it doesn't exist, Sherry.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, we're going to have fun.
So you're going to be great. Yes, we're going to have more fun than people can imagine. So I like to say that, you've made a difference when you make somebody laugh, you make them cry, and you make them think.
Yeah. And relate.
Oh, totally.
Know that they're not alone. There's, just like I remember going to my first single parent group, and that was when I was sold. Groups are great because you are not alone.
No.
Other people's issues may be greater, maybe not as great, but we're all in it together. And that's what I feel about you, Valerie. We're all in it together.
Yes. So no matter what somebody's going through, this is not specifically for parents of addicts. Obviously, I have a lot of moms with sons and daughters living with that addiction beast who follow my work and belong to my membership and stuff. It's just natural and normal because they really resonate with my story. But we'll have guys there. We've got people with all sorts of different challenges. And it's what you just said. We're all in it together, but what we're in is this thing called life. And so no matter what you're going through, we can all link arms and be really, really inspired and empowered on June 22nd.
Oh, nice. Well, give us the website one more time before we close.
Okay. It's stillstandinglive.com.
Okay. Excellent. Thank
Get your tickets. We want to see you. Hey, all of you that are Sherry lovers like Erin, you definitely want to come and meet her in person.
Thank you, Valerie. And I love your energy. Love you, Valerie.
Okay. I love you too, Sherry. Have an awesome day. Bye.